and running on all of the things that we talked about in the webinar that I did, or the class that's in the academy, which is the it's from Zero to Superfan, where we're trying to get our freemium set up, and then promote that, and then engage people, and then monetize them. So this first week is about the freemium, but I wanted to add some extra stuff because I think the actual setting up of the freemium is not that complicated. But what I really want to do is get you guys set up for success. So I'm going to give you a few 90-day challenges for yourself, and take them on at your own risk, because these are hard, some of them. But I really think that if you take them on, they will not only improve your business, but just really focus you on what you want to achieve, and show you that you've made progress in 90 days. So the first one, and I hate that little thing down there. I'm going to get rid of that says that it's sharing your screen, because I see exactly what happened to me the other day. I hit the wrong button. Okay, so now you can see everything, and there's not that weird thing on the bottom, right? Okay. Sometimes this technology is a little crazy. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to choose one thing to invest your time and or money in to learn over the next 90 days that will move you forward. So maybe there's something that you've been like, if I could only know how to do this, then I could do this. Or maybe you see people that are doing something and you're like, how are they doing that? Like for example, one thing that I needed to invest in was figuring out how to automate my social media, because it was taking me so much time to post every single day. And I would see people, I'd be like, how are they doing this? How are they posting so often? And so I started looking into all the different automation programs for social media, and I figured out the best one for me. I invested in that, and I spent some time setting it up, and now I don't have to worry about it. And now I have an assistant that runs it. But, I spent that time to set it up, and it's made a world of difference now because I don't have to worry about it anymore. So some examples of that would be, maybe you need to create your MailChimp account because you don't yet have any way to deliver emails to people. Do you guys both have an email list set up yet?
I have MailChimp. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a MailChimp.
Okay.
And mine's on Reverb Nation. The only thing with Reverb, you can't, if I want to, on MailChimp, can you selectively send emails to people of certain locations?
No, I'm one of my things is to clean up my account and sort of do some of that. I'm not utilizing MailChimp as well as I could be.
Right, yeah, you should be able to. I know in my program you can select people by location and just send an email to them. Reverb Nation, I don't know, are you happy with what they have, and can people subscribe to it other than through Reverb Nation?
Yeah, you can put a widget on your website.
Okay.
But I don't think you can select by area. So whatever you send out, hey, I'm playing at this, club or whatever, goes to everyone who subscribes. So they don't have those tools. They have a nice template that has your shows and your news and all that kind of stuff. But I probably would have to upgrade and buy whatever the next level is to really get a lot of functionality, I think.
Right. One thing is just investing your time in learning all the ins and outs of MailChimp. So you may have MailChimp, but you really want to learn how to use the newsletter program and how to, put different blocks in and stuff, because I've seen that slow artists down. I want to send a newsletter, but then they don't know how to do it, and then they just get frustrated and they try to, build this newsletter, and because they're under a little bit of a deadline, and then they don't get it done because they haven't invested the time to learn how to use it correctly, and then they just give up on it. So it would be a good exercise to say, I'm going to send a newsletter in 1 month. Yeah. And then start working on it and building it and figuring out how you want it to look. Because although they give you templates, like my Women of Substance newsletter, I use a template, but it there's things that aren't there that I want, and there's things that I don't want that are there, so I have to learn how to delete. I have to learn how to put in new areas that I want. And once I have it set up, I use the same exact one. I just reuse the same newsletter every week and then move things around and take things out and stuff like that. So once you spent that time setting it up, you're going to be so much happier when it's time to actually send your newsletter. So another thing you can do is maybe you want to do house concerts, and you need to actually just sit down and go through the Profitable House Concerts course that I have in there. It'll probably only take you an hour to actually go through it the first time. Obviously, you're going to want to take notes, and you're going to want to probably go through it again and stuff, and when you're actually doing the thing, you might have to go back to certain sections. But dumping all that knowledge in your mind once, and then actually scheduling yourself your first house concert, if you put that down on paper, that's what I'm going to do. This is my goal for the next 90 days, then you'll do it. But if you just kind of think in the back of your mind, oh, I really need to do house concerts, it won't get done. So, and then this last one was like what I said, investing in a scheduling tool for social media. And for me, that's made a big difference. Do you guys use any kind of scheduling for social media?
I started to look at Social Oomph.
Yeah, I used to use that. There's certain things you can do with it that are free that you can start with, and it is very, very helpful even at the free level. Yeah,
I think I need to go back and look at it. I think I got it to repost. There's a blog that I like every week, so it'll post that for me, but I really haven't investigated it that much. So yeah, there's certain things you can automate with them, and you can also put things into a queue, so you can make your whole queue for the whole week. So I know somebody that told me the other day that this is what she does every Sunday. She goes and she spends 1 hour and she makes her whole queue for the whole week for social media, and then she just forgets about it. And it's like a load off of your mind.
Mhm. So what did you decide on, Bree?
Actually, I use Meet Edgar, which I'm not sure I would recommend for artists because it's a little bit expensive. I've heard that it's gone up to $99 a month, which is crazy. When I started, it was $49 a month. Mm-hmm. But what I like about it is you put things in, and they're there forever. So, for example, if I want to promote the podcast, and you guys may have seen this, I promote an episode of the podcast that happens today, and that may cycle around again in 4 weeks and promote that same episode.
Right.
And and it's just this continuous promotion. But to me, lots of people haven't seen that episode. It's not old news because you can still listen to it now. So why not promote it now?
Right.
So that's why it works for me.
I have Hootsuite. I had it for free for a while, and then they made me pay for it, and it was right during my Kickstarter. So I was posting so much, and I had kind of a strategy. So I bought it, but I haven't really been using it. So one of the things I was trying to decide is I either need to start using it or stop paying for it. So
do you pay for it monthly, or did you pay a yearly something?
I ended up paying monthly at the time.
How much is it?
Not bad. Monthly, it's like $15.93 every month out of my PayPal. But if I had done it for the year, it would have been $100 and something.
Right, but you could choose to do that now. I mean,
I could choose to. Well, I think I could but I don't know. I just, I want to feel like I'm using it.
Right. You need a strategy for how you're going to use it. I need a strategy,
and I also need. It's a little tricky for me because I have a small business and I have multiple identities, and then I'm a musician, and so one of the things I'm really trying to work out is with the email lists and stuff, people that are just interested in my music, try to keep them with just music, and then people that are interested in everything I do. So I'm sort of trying to get clearer about that before I, add tools.
I totally get what you're saying, and I think you can segment that way for sure. It just takes a little more work. I mean, for me, sometimes I promote, I post stuff in relation to businesses and entrepreneurship on my Bree Noble Twitter and Facebook, but I don't post that on Women of Substance, so I have to.
Exactly.
The cool thing about Edgar is that you can go in and you can choose which, and then you probably do this on Hootsuite too, choose which places each thing goes. So
Yeah, you can.
like if I want to have an inspirational quote that's about business, I only want that to go on the Bree Noble stuff, not on Women of Substance.
Yeah.
And you
I think
just
a
post.
90-day challenge for me would be to like do what you talked about, like take a Sunday night and 1 hour and schedule
Yeah.
posts and see how that goes for me, because I like to be very spontaneous with my social media, but I think it would be a great exercise for me to do that and see what that feels like. Maybe add a couple personal posts in there every now and then, but yeah, I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think that adding personal posts is going to cause a problem with you doing that Sunday night thing, because you'll do your own scheduling, so you'll know. And like what
Right.
you can do is you can leave an open slot for spontaneous posts. So like
Right.
I'm not going to post at 12 o'clock because at 12 o'clock every day I'm going to post something about that particular day, you know, or something.
Right. Yeah,
And
it
then
requires great discipline.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
That's why I don't post every day, because I don't have that kind of discipline, because I'm too
Yeah.
focused on other things. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
It saved my life. Okay, so the second thing, so if that's what you want to choose for your 90-day challenge, go for it. I think that's great. And if you start going through the social media, you know, thing that you choose, like either just sticking with Hootsuite, or you can check out Social Oomph for free and see if you like it any better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with Hootsuite, but a lot of people use it. I think it's good.
It's pretty much, I think it was pretty much the cheapest, best option out there. Like it gives you
Right.
the stuff for the least amount of money.
But if you have any questions about it along the way, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay, so the second thing I want to challenge you to do is schedule, this one's really important. This is something that I have to do for myself. Schedule 3 hours per week to implement what you are learning in the academy. So, you know, what I used to do, is I used to like listen to all these great webinars about things in business, and I'd be like, that's so cool, that's such a cool idea. But then it would just kind of hang out in the back of my head and I wouldn't do anything with it. So if you're spending the time learning stuff, you have to schedule the time to implement it. So if you put time in your calendar that, you know, these 3 hours within the week, and they can be 3 totally separate hours if you want, or a block, to implement what you're learning. So, you know, part of that is the thing that you took on for the first challenge is, you know, you're going to be implementing that, and that's part of what we're learning. But you want to put it on your calendar. You want to put a reminder in your phone, because for me, if the little alarm bell goes off, I'll remember. But I don't necessarily remember to look at my calendar every day. And just remember that knowledge is power, and, you know, if you don't take action, then knowledge isn't worth anything. And I love this quote that says, the medicine doesn't work if it is still in the bottle.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think it applies to a lot of us, because if you're like me, I love learning stuff, but I don't always like taking action on it because it's hard work.
Well, it's like anything. It's like if you do any spiritual work, if you don't apply it, it's nothing. It's just
Right.
That's so true. Okay, so number 3. This one's not hard, but it actually takes forethought, because I think that it's really important to do something special for people on your team or in your life each week, because not only is it good practice for you, but it also helps them. And I'm talking about, this could be your husband. You know, for me, a lot of what I do, my husband supports that. You know, he's able to watch the kids so I can do a webinar or something. And, you know, I need to remember that he's supporting me, and I need to do something special for him every week. Or maybe one of my assistants, you know, I can do something particularly nice for them that week. So I just want to encourage you to like actually write this down and put it in your calendar to do. For maybe it's one of your band members, maybe it's somebody that you work with, family members, even, you know, venues that you go to, people that you network with, because practicing gratitude is such a good practice for us, and it also, you know, makes other people's day great, and it makes them want to continue to work with you. So number 4, don't worry, there's only 7. Okay, schedule X number of hours each week to do the one thing that moves your business forward. So what I'm talking about is the thing that you do that really brings in money for your business, that you already know works. That's kind of your bread and butter. So like maybe that's maybe that's house concerts if you've already been doing them. Maybe it's you know, calling up 10 venues a day and doing, you know, doing booking calls. Maybe it's creating videos for YouTube. Maybe you really attract a lot of new fans that way, and that's worked for you in the past. You need to schedule that into your time to put that on the calendar to do that because you know it works. Sometimes we think, okay, we've figured out this one thing, but now I need to move on to something else, and you forget about the one thing that was already working. I know I used to do that when I was performing. I'd be like, you know, I could get all these gigs, and they went really well, and they were perfect for me. And then I'd be like, well, now I want to branch into some new kinds of gigs. And then I lose my focus on the ones that went really well, and I didn't book as many of them, and then all of a sudden my income was going down because I was trying to focus on something new. And it's good to bring new things in, but don't forget about the things that are already working. Okay, number 5 is, what do you, you're not going to like this one.
Oh, watching Netflix.
First of all, I need to change this because it says, yeah, okay. Watching Netflix, is that a problem for you?
It's not a problem. It's just of all those things, that's probably the thing that I have been recently doing a lot of.
And so, I'm not saying that they're a problem, but sometimes, you know, we're like if I get addicted to a series on Netflix, I'll want to watch like several episodes in a row, and then I won't go to sleep on time, and then I will be messed up in the morning, and you know. So, and then you realize that this does start to affect how you run your business. So yeah, sometimes it's Netflix or TV. Sometimes it's I had a friend that just gave up drinking for a month because she realized that drinking was affecting her business. Yeah. So that could happen. Scrolling through Facebook, sometimes we just get like mesmerized by the whole timeline thing and just start scrolling, and so and we say to ourselves, well, I'm doing business because I'm on Facebook, but we're actually not. We're just like getting interested in other people's lives. So and then sometimes productive things you can say, yes, I'm doing something for my business, but they can be done by someone else. Like for me with the social media and also with editing my podcast. I mean, I've produced my own CD. I know how to edit podcasts, but why should I be doing that when someone else can do it, when I can be spending my time doing something else that's a lot more valuable? You know, when someone else has that skill and I can pay them X amount. So sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and say, should I really be doing this? Or should I find a college student that could do this for me and I could pay them $10 an hour? You know, and if you guys ever are looking for a virtual assistant for help, I do have 2 virtual assistants. Plus my mom also is my virtual assistant, so I basically have 3. And I can hire them out for $10 an hour if you ever need anything like that, because it is really helpful to take certain things off your plate.
Cool.
Number 6, okay, create a weekly fitness goal. Now, I really think this is important. I know we're not talking about fitness here. We're talking about music, but it really does change the way that you work. It gives you more energy, gives you more clarity. I mean, for me, I'll come back from a run or a walk, and I'll have so many ideas. And I would never have come up with those ideas if I hadn't have been out there, you know, working out and kind of clearing my head with that. And I'm sure, Alicia, you can probably back me up on this because... Oh,
absolutely. And this is so awesome. Like, everything you're talking about, it's everything that I know. And at some point in my journey, I have done all of these things. But it's so good. I so need this jumpstart session right now. So I'm just kind of smiling with gratitude right now.
Awesome. That's great. Also, it really does increase your creativity. Like, I used to exercise and I would write songs while I was on my walks. Because it's amazing, like, things just come to your mind when you're focused on your body. What was that?
As long as you have your phone or something to record with you.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I'll be like, why did I leave that home today?
Yeah, I know. I know. You think in your mind too, like, oh, I'll remember that later.
Yeah.
And then guess what? You don't, because we're getting old. You know.
Yeah.
All right. So
I
come up
think
with some
too,
kind of
I think too,
measurable.
with our technology now, like I have to say, I try to exercise outside as much as possible because just being outside, I find it's huge. Like if I'm at my computer too long or
Yeah.
it's a so that's the other piece. Like I used to be like feel like you had to like work out intensely. Sometimes it's just a 20-minute walk, and it doesn't have to be a huge thing, and it really.
Yeah, I agree. And I try to take breaks like when I'm at the computer, and I break up my workout into little like 5-minute things. So I'll let go and I'll do these 3 kinds of weights plus lunges or something, and just for 5 minutes. And then I'll go back to my computer, and then I'll do that again at the next end of next hour. I'll do different stuff. So that's another way you can do it for just the workout piece. But like when you're working out outside, I challenge you, because I'm really terrible at this too, but I challenge you to not listen to music half the time that you work out. Because for me, sometimes listening to music is super motivating, and if I'm running, it's good, but I don't get all the cool ideas in my head if the music is going on. So go out there and just like be in your head. Okay, number 7. This one is going to be hard, I think. Set a specific measurable goal in relation to your earnings within 90 days. So pick something that's not like you've never done before, is not easy, that's going to make you feel a little uncomfortable, make you feel nervous, but it's going to push you. And something that's very specific. Like say generally you make $1,000 a month from your music or something. This in 90 days you want to be able to make $4,000 in 90 days instead of 3,000. And figure out then strategic ways that you're going to do that. What are you going to add to your plate while not forgetting the things that are already working that are going to get you there? And this is just to stretch you. I'm not like going to ask you if you made your goal at the end. But if you did, you could totally tell me, because that would be awesome. But it's just to put something out there. I do it for my business. I put my expenses up. I put how much more I want to make than my expenses, and then I watch that every single day of the month, just because I want to be focused on it. And it helps. It helps. It's almost like a mind thing too. Like I'm thinking in my mind, I need to get this much more today, and then something comes in. It's weird.
No, it's the law of the universe.
Yeah.
I've had the experience where if I really write things down and I really say I'm going to do this, then it happens. And the interesting thing is it's not always what you're trying to get. Like say you're making phone calls about something, but something else will come. So it's like the energy in the universe, you saying I'm going to make $1,500 more this month or whatever, I believe creates it.
Yeah, I really think so. And I don't know. I'm not a big woo-woo person, but I have actually seen this happen, so I do believe it.
It's science.
Okay, so yes. Oh, okay, it's science. I am a spiritual person. I'm just not a woo-woo person. Like a lot of people are into that kind of stuff, and that's not really me. I definitely believe that God operates in the universe, but I don't subscribe to some of the woo-woo stuff that I've been taught at certain business seminars, but I have seen some of it actually work.
Yeah, no. I'm talking more like cause and effect.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I do believe in the visualization and the power of positive thinking. I do believe it actually works because I've experienced it. But okay, so these are some rituals that I do that I want to encourage you to maybe try. I know, it's interesting because in business, people throw this stuff out there like, oh, everybody can do this. But I started to think, some of the people in here are musicians that stay out super late and are doing, big gigs at night and stuff. And so maybe they can't do these morning rituals like I do, because I get up quite early and I do this stuff in the morning before my kids even get up. But, whenever it is that you are able to get up and feel like you're maybe pushing yourself a little bit by getting up at that time, but not being a total mess because you were out at a gig the night before. But the first thing you should do is drink water. Either regular water or the lemon water is also really good. But it just hydrates your body and helps wake you up in the morning. And the thing that has helped me, I think, the most of anything in the last year is to spend 10 minutes with my to-do list first thing and decide the things that I absolutely have to do today, because otherwise I get overwhelmed by all the things that I have to do, and I think, oh, I can't possibly do all these things. And so you just have this like defeatist feeling from the beginning. So I'm going to talk in a minute about how to set up your to-do list, but the first thing I do is I spend 10 minutes with my to-do list, and then I take out the things that I absolutely have to do that day, and I time schedule them. So, for example, today I had 2 radio interviews, plus I had this. So I knew there was not a lot of time in there to schedule other things, but I knew I had, from like 5 to 6:30 to do one thing, and I had from 8 to 9 to do one thing, and then I had after 1:30 to 2:30 to do another thing. So I could then schedule those things in there, so I didn't get to that time period and think, okay, what am I supposed to be doing now? I could just look at it. I've already thought it through. And this has made me the most productive this year of anything, I think. I also encourage you to do 5 minutes of creative free writing in the morning. I don't know if you guys have a practice like that, but I've found that not only does it like dump your brain from all the things that maybe have gotten in there in the night that are maybe distracting you, but it also can be really great material for songwriting. Do your exercise or schedule it into your day, however that works. I always prefer to do it first thing, but I haven't necessarily been doing that lately because I've been combining it with other things like my kids' soccer practice. I can exercise during that time, so I just schedule it and I make sure it's going to get done that way. Eat a healthy breakfast. Some of these things are obvious, but some people don't do them. You're just going to be a lot better for your day if you do that. And then start working based upon your time schedule. So I really encourage you to try that, scheduling out your day. And maybe some of you are more of spontaneous people and just the idea of that annoys you. I know my husband is that way. But as he's gotten older, he's become more of a list maker because he realizes it does help him. So the to-do list is really important, I think, because as musicians, we kind of we like to fly by the seat of our pants. We're creative. We don't want to be tied down by anything, but we have to realize we're business people and we need to get our focus where it needs to be. And so creating a to-do list can really help you do that. And you can either do it on paper, the old school way, but if you do it on paper, you need to do it in a way that you can have it with you at all times. So like a very small little pad or something you can keep in your purse. I like to do mine on my phone because it's really easy to keep track of steps. It's really easy to take things off by just clicking a button and moving things around and stuff. So this is the process that you can go through to create your to-do list. And once you've created, then it's really easy. Every day you just spend 10 minutes with it. But first you brainstorm everything that you need to do. And this could take a while because as artists, there's always so many things that we need to do. I need to, make my YouTube cover banner, and I need to, put my bio on this website. And, there's just so many like little things, and then there's a few big things that we need to do. So get them all out of your brain, get them all into one place, either into a phone or on paper. Probably put it all on paper first, and then we'll put it into the phone when we've got them organized. Circle the ones that you need to do this week. They're a little more immediate, and then place a star by the ones that you need to do today. So, for example, for me, I absolutely had to send out the interview flow questions for the 3 podcasts I'm going to record tomorrow, because if I don't do that, they're not going to know what to do. And I'm probably not going to have their Skype contact information, and I won't be able to do them. So I absolutely had to do that today. Yesterday I absolutely had to get these slides done for this presentation, so I would start that. Maybe I absolutely have to practice this music for an hour because I have a big gig on Saturday. You know, it could be anything. Just make sure that you don't put too many things on the today list or you're going to feel overwhelmed. Choose the things that absolutely must be done or that will make you money that day. Like if you know that you needed to call this person at this venue and this was the day that they're in and you're going to be able to reach them, then make sure you do that because you'll lose that opportunity and you won't get that gig. So then you create 3 lists, the today list, the this week list, and the soon or this quarter, whatever you want to call it, list. And then you're just going to be moving things, move all the starred things in the today list, all the circled things into the weekly list, and then everything else goes in the soon or this quarter list. And then every day when you spend your 10 minutes, you just move the things. You look over the things that are on this week, and you move them into today if they're a must-do. You add things along the way if they come up. So, for example, I just got a notice in my email that a podcast that I was on is now live. So I'm like, okay, now I have to make sure to promote this. So that would be on the today list because I want to promote that, and it just came up out of nowhere. But a lot of it's going to be moving the things that are already in there. So sorry, there was a slide on that, and I didn't realize it. So yeah, spend 10 minutes per day updating. Cross off things you finish, which feels really great. Move items from this week to today, and then put new items where they need to go. So sometimes you hear an idea from somebody, you know, and you're like, oh, that sounds really cool. I want to implement that. But you know it's not a super priority. Then you just stick it in the soon list as you think of it, and then you have it there. So when you feel like you maybe have a little extra time, you can go, okay, let me grab some of these things that I really wanted to do that are on the back burner. So the ritual would be make your to-do list the same time every day. This is really helpful if you can do this because it will keep you in habit. So, you know, every day when I get up at 4 a.m., I do my list. And then I make it at my computer every day or in my kitchen. And then I keep the list with me at all times because it's on my phone. And I review it and, you know, revisit it and add things as needed. So that's the ritual with that. Now, have you guys used Evernote? Are you familiar with that?
No.
Sounds familiar, but
Okay.
I use Asana. Have you ever heard of Asana?
I have heard of Asana. Asana is cool.
Started it.
Okay.
So.
Asana is like a workflow,
Yeah.
kind of a project, but it's kind of like a to-do list in a way. I was using Asana for a while for my to-do list, but I prefer to just use like a phone app. But I'm going to show you my Evernote so you can get an idea of where there's going to be some weird looking stuff on here. I think when I change these screens. I don't know why it does that. Okay, there's the weird looking screen. Okay, now, sorry, it's going to take me a second because I want to show you what Evernote looks like because I think it will be really helpful for you. What Evernote is it's like a cloud-based note-taking system, and where is my Evernote? Why can't I find it? Oh, there it is. So it allows you to take notes that you can access anywhere or keep stuff anywhere. So like I basically use it instead of using Word because I can't access Word anywhere. I can only access it, you know, at home. So I'll show you. I have a section in here called Research. So what Evernote can do is if you see something online, an article or something that somebody posts that you think is really important for you to read, you can snag that and put it in Evernote and keep it forever. So if you look here, here's a bunch of articles that I got that I thought would be really useful for people in the academy or research I was doing for, you know, different trainings and stuff. And so there's a tool that you use with your browser called the Evernote, the Clipper tool, and it will just allow you in like 1 second to snag this and keep it in here. And then you can read it whenever you want. You can access the information whenever you want. And then you can also, like, so for example, I have a section that has bios and stuff, And so I can just grab this bio, like if I ever need it, instead of like, oh, I got to go into Word, find my bio, or I got to go to my website, I can just pull this up super quick, get the thing that I need, and grab it, and anywhere I am. So if I get an email from somebody and I'm at my kid's soccer, and I need to send them my bio right now, because they're going to put me up on their website right now, I can do that so easily with Evernote. So what I did, I just wanted to introduce you guys to that because I think it could be a useful tool. In the Academy, in the section that now I created that says Jumpstart Class, underneath there's a thing that says Evernote Tutorials, and I copied some links to some really useful Evernote tutorials that show you how to organize things in Evernote, because what's so useful about it is you use tags. So if I download an article that talks about, how to build my fan base on Twitter, so I can tag it fans, Twitter, the things that are related to that. And then one day when I really want to work on my Twitter account, I can then pull up everything that's related to Twitter by just sticking in the little tag, and it brings up any articles that I snagged, any stuff that I wrote down that was related to Twitter, as long as I tagged it. So it's a really cool cloud-based way of organizing your stuff. And you can go on to the Academy and just watch the YouTube videos from Dottotech that teach you how to use it. He's really thorough and teaches you how to use the Clipper tool and everything, and I think it will be really useful if you want to implement it. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And now we're going to get to the whole freemium stuff. But let me turn on my presentation again. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the 7 rules of permission-based marketing, because what we are doing is permission-based marketing because we're asking them for their email address in return for something else. So one thing you want to do is not ask for too much information, because they're less likely to fill it out if you ask for like everything under the sun, like their phone number and and all their social media links and everything. So what I always asked for was just name, email, and zip code. And the zip code is just so in case I can segment by their location in order to send them concert updates, I would do that. Maybe get their social media stuff if they're at a gig. Like, I know that some people, when they do house concerts, they provide a guest book, and they have a place for people to write their social media. And it would be cool to get at least people's Twitter handle if they were willing to provide it, because that would be really easy for them to write down and easy for you to connect with them. But don't ask them for city, state, all that stuff. You don't need that stuff, and it will take too long for them to fill out. Number 2 is front and center everywhere. Obviously, I harped on this in my presentation on the webinar and everything. But and we'll talk about when we get into next week into promotion how to do that specifically. But just make sure that it's on every page of your website. And I have to admit, I'm breaking this rule right now on the Women of Substance page, because I haven't figured out how to put it on this particular template that I have. I haven't figured out how to put it at the top of the page. So I'm working on that. But Women of Substance is not the same as an artist, because not as many people would be joining my mailing list. But if you have, what do you guys use for your web hosting? Are you just using a Reverb Nation, or do you have like a Squarespace?
I have a website through WordPress, but I have the domain, I think, through GoDaddy.
Got it. So what are you using?
Fat Cow.
What is that?
It's
I've never heard of that.
Fat Cow, it's a web hosting thing, and they've got different tools you can use to build your website. So like within Fat Cow, I use Weebly, and I got my domain name through Fat Cow as well. They offer really good deals. Like if you first sign up, you can do like a $12 for the year kind of thing.
Wow, that's really cheap.
Yeah, and then the next year, depending on how many pages you have, like I have a ton of pages. I think it was 136 a year it went up to after the first year. I have another website for a group that's renewing now at 70 or something. But I mean, they're okay for what I need right now.
Well,
So
so is it their tools that you use to build the pages?
they have several different tools within Fat Cow. So I use Weebly, the Weebly tool that they have within Fat Cow. So it's they host the site, but then you can use the Weebly kind of tools to build your website, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Got it. So you would use Weebly to put your freemium on your pages and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because WordPress, what's cool about WordPress, and who was it that said that? Alicia?
Alicia.
Alicia said that. Okay. So do you have your freemium on your site yet?
No.
Because what you can do with WordPress, which is awesome, is you can put it in the sidebar, and then you can attach that to every single page.
I have it. I have like a player.
Okay.
But I don't know if they can download it. Is there a download?
No, you would have to use a plugin.
Okay.
What I use is a plugin through GetResponse, which is my email provider, and you just place the code on the sidebar. So on the female entrepreneur on the femusician.com, there, if you go to any of the pages on there, you'll see on the right is you could still sign up for the free offering that I have. Okay. And that's how you do it.
All right.
Other sites it's a little harder. You have to actually like place it on each page, but that's what's so cool about WordPress is you can do the sidebar thing. Whoops. So anyway, Facebook, I'll talk more about this next week and I'll show you how you can create your banner to like point to the button, but you know how there's a button on there that you can say sign up or whatever. I'm not sure if you can change what the button says.
You can't. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I know. That's what I thought because I've looked at it before and I don't know if they've updated it. But I wanted to say like, free download or
I mean, maybe you can,
free gift or something.
Probably have to pay or something.
I don't know. I don't think they're forward thinking enough to actually make you be able to change what it says. But sign up is okay. If you put in your banner, free download and make it sound enticing to them, then it's okay that it says sign up if you're pointing to that. You've at least qualified it. In Twitter, if you put your link to your freemium in your bio, that's the best way. And you can announce that on your cover art if you want. But that's really the only place you can put it right on your Twitter page.
Right.
And then same thing with Instagram. You can put it in your. That's the only place you can put a link right now in Instagram is in your bio. But you should, unless you have your freemium like front and center on your website, you should send them to your freemium. If your freemium is Noisetrade, you should send them there from Instagram.
Right.
Because you want to obviously grab them as you can. If they just go to your website, you won't necessarily grab them. And then YouTube, the thing that I mentioned was make sure to put it on the first line under the video, under the description, because it only shows like 2 lines and then you have to click see more. So that may tick off somebody that like you want to announce, they produced this video or something, but I think it's more important to get the fans than to be able to put that. They can still see that if they click on more info. It just won't be at the top. And then if you use Clammr, and I don't know if you guys have seen what I posted about Clammr. I love Clammr. It's a growing platform for audio, but you can have it linked to like if they listen to your Clammr and like it, it will send them an email at the end of the week saying, here's the Clammrs that you liked, and it will have a direct link to whatever you link that to, and you can link it right to your freemium. Which is because then they've listened to your music, they've liked it, and then the next step is they want to download it. So it seems like a really good progression there. Getting email addresses at events. So put something on you guys probably do this, put something on your merch table, and if you can have a sign, like people don't really pay attention unless there's a sign that says, free download, and then point downward to the list so they can sign up and announce it from the stage that they'll get a free download if they put it on the list. and then a guest book at house concerts, which I think is really cool because then you have the memory of all those people. It's kind of like more like an event than it is a show, that you have people sign the guest book at the beginning so you can remember them. And then you can also ask for maybe their social media in the guest book too, because there's a little more space. This one worked super well for me, giveaways at shows. So what I would do is I had little like slips of paper that were that people could fill out for a giveaway, and I passed them out, like depending on what kind of show it was somewhere where people were just already sitting and staying in one place. I would actually pass them out at the beginning of the show and say I'm going to be giving away some prizes at the end, and we'll be picking these up at this this time. And people would, I would get like hundreds of them from each show. New people signing up for my email list just because they wanted to win. And I would give away like 3 things. But to me, to get hundreds of email addresses, the cost to me to give away those items was $20, because it was all my cost. So I think it's a really great way to do it. You can also have them sign up on a list and then draw a number at random if you don't want to deal with all the slips of paper, because I can tell you it was a huge pain, the slips of paper. Because you have this big bundle of paper, and then you'd have to make sure that you got that. Every once in a while, like the event leader would draw, and then they'd forget to hand me the slips of paper, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, and I realized right before I left. And so you can do it the other way, where they sign up on a list, but that works better if people are situation where they're more milling around and they're not sitting in one place. Then they can easily come over and sign on the thing, and then you can draw a random number. But to me, that was a really successful way of getting people on my email list. I got them on hundreds at a time. Okay, so reassure them that you're not going to sell their information. It seems in our mind that that's to go without saying, but it might not be in their mind these days. So just try to remember that, I'm not going to sell your information. I'm not going to send you anything irrelevant. I'm only going to contact you once, one newsletter a month, unless something really important is happening. Whatever you decide is your frequency that you want to do. There's an extra 3. Oops, I can't change that in here, can I? Nope, I can't. Okay. Use social proof. So this is something I do on the Women of Substance site. I actually put a little testimonial right next to the sign up for the email list that says, because somebody sent me something that said, your newsletter is so valuable. I learn something every time, and I don't usually read my newsletters, but this one I always read. And so I put it right there on the site, because if people see that and are thinking about it, they're on the fence, they'll be like, ooh, I think I should do this. Social proof is always really useful. So if you can get any testimonials anyway, if you can go on social media and ask people's opinions on things, that's some ways that you can get social media. You could get social proof. Sometimes you can even just ask people directly, like if you notice that someone has bought a lot of your music, you can say, I'd really appreciate a testimonial. I'd love to know what you love about my music. And most of the time people are really responsive to that, because they want to support you. The testimonials are always good. In fact, I'll show you at the end. I did some testimonial stuff for the Women of Substance submission page, and I think it's really helping a lot. Okay, never add people without permission. I think this goes without saying, but it's a good reminder. Just because you email with them and have a conversation with them doesn't mean you're allowed to add their email address. They have to actually opt in. Now you can write back to, if you're having a good conversation with somebody over email, over social media, you can write back to them and say, I'd really like to stay in touch with you. Here's the link if you want to go and get my free download and stay in touch. And that's totally acceptable. But, just don't add people just because you think that, well, we've had a great conversation, I must have permission. That can get you in trouble. Oh, wait, I made this really small. Okay. So there's this Josh Garrels article. I put one article about him in the Facebook page yesterday, but there's another really good one that goes through what he did on his release. He released his album directly to Noise Trade, like the very first day it came out. He also released it on iTunes, but he made it free for and promoted it big time on Noise Trade for like a whole week when it was released. And so they were going through the numbers of what happened, because you think, oh, someone gives their album away on release day for free. How does that work? Well, what happened was he also, because he had done this several times and had built up his email list, he also sold 6,500 albums through iTunes, because people liked him, they already knew him, and they didn't even know about the Noise Trade thing. They went directly to iTunes. So from iTunes, he made 45,500 just from that, but he didn't get any email addresses. So then he also got 45,000 free downloads on Noise Trade, but he also made 25,000 in tips from 3,800 fans. So nice fans still wanted to give him money. So, sorry, I'm trying to read this because I made it way too small. What they were basically showing was that, and if you read even more of the article, you'll see that he really didn't make very much less money by releasing it free than he would have if he had sold all of those on iTunes, because of the fact that he got all these email addresses. So he would have made like something like, I don't know, I can't remember what it is, but it's like only like 8,000 more or something by just releasing it directly to iTunes, and he would have gotten 0 email addresses, and he got, you know, this many email addresses, 45,000 email addresses. And so he can continue to sell to those people over time and have them come to gigs and stuff. I just thought this was a really compelling example. Obviously, he's someone that's been doing this over a few years. He's had this model. And so he's got like 200,000 people on his email list because he's been doing this. Mm-hmm. But he also, his album in the first week got to like number 83 on the Billboard chart, even though he was giving it away for free, because enough people were still buying it on iTunes because he had gained this many fans. So it's a really compelling read. If you go into the Jumpstart section of the Academy, it's in there and you can click on it. Actually, I put the whole article in there, so you can just read it in there. Okay, the last thing I want to go over is ID3 tags. I think probably both of you know about them and use them correctly, but a lot of people don't, so I just want to go through this for the people that aren't here. So what are ID3 tags? Do you guys know what they are? Can you tell me?
Well, it's all the metadata information.
Correct. It's the metadata. So you would not believe how many millions of things I get for women of substance that have no metadata, or even the file name is wrong. Like the file name says, you know, like Healing Waters mastered 128, you know. And their metadata says nothing. So that's what it copies into the metadata. So what people need to understand is the metadata is what tells any kind of a device or a program what it is that you're listening to. So if you're giving away a free download, you don't want your metadata to say track 1 and no artist name, because that's what they're going to see. And they're never, when they're listening to the song on their iPod and they downloaded it, they're going to be like, ooh, I really like this song. What is it? Who is it? Track 1 by nobody. You know?
Well, so this, because one problem is that WAV files don't retain metadata. You have to turn them into like MP3s and stuff. So would these programs make the WAV files kind of retain that information?
It should. Well, the one I'm suggesting is that obviously for MP3s, MP3 tag. But so I don't know, are people that you're sending things to requiring WAV files, like radio stations and stuff? Because I can't use WAV files personally.
No, it's usually for film and TV. You have to send them WAV files. But usually what happens is you fill out a spreadsheet for them with all the
Right.
metadata information because the WAV files don't retain it no matter what you do. So
That's pretty annoying. I'm
it
surprised
is.
by that because the programs that I use to record, like
Yeah.
my podcasts and stuff,
Yeah.
they do allow you to put in metadata information. As far as I can tell, it stays. And the one that
Right.
I use is Audacity.
You should be able to, depending on who I get the files from, because I usually do this with co-writers anyway. There are various metadata things you can put in, but sometimes not as much information as the publishers want anyway.
Got it. Got
But
it.
yeah, I was just thinking because I was doing something on Noise Trade, and of course they all want high fidelity files, and I know that all that metadata that is not in there.
So can they, I bet you on Noise Trade though, when you download them, they program the metadata in because
Yeah, maybe.
they're turning it into an MP3 for you, right?
Yeah, I think so. Although it does say MP3 is allowed, so I could probably do that.
I personally would do a 320 MP3, like the
Yeah,
highest quality, and then you know your metadata will be there.
yeah. And
And
if it's in GraceNote, like if they download your file, they load it into iTunes. iTunes will automatically search for it. Like if you've got your albums released on iTunes, it'll try to match it up.
that's a good
Uh,
point.
And
Sometimes.
that's the like ISRC numbers that you do, like when I distributed out mine, or is this a different thing that I'm supposed to be doing?
You can put your what is it, ISRC number?
Yeah.
You can put that into the metadata. But I'm just talking about basics, like making
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
your artist name is in there and stuff. But there is a spot for that number in the metadata as well, and you should have that in there if you're submitting it to radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you don't have something, this MP3 tag is really easy, really cheap. I mean, not cheap. It's free. So it's free and easy to download, and just it's very basic. You know, there's no bells and whistles to it. It just has. It opens up on the left-hand side where you have the ability to put all the fields in there that you need, and then you press save, and it's attached to the file.
Okay.
So I have to do it for my podcast because otherwise when someone downloads a podcast, they're not going to know what it is because it has no name. So yeah, it's really frustrating for me as a radio person to get things without metadata because I have to go in there and change them all myself,
Yeah.
and it's time consuming. And I remember, I mean, we're talking about back in like 2006 when I first started putting my albums out there to online radio. And there was this one guy who said, I just won't accept anything unless it has all the metadata. And I was so annoyed by this. Well, why not, you know? And I don't have time to figure that out and stuff. And now I understand why. And I totally think that artists, you know, I was in the wrong. Like, I needed to get off my high horse. It's not his job to fix my problem. I needed to figure out metadata, and so I did it, you know. But I think some artists think that should be the radio people's problem, and it's not. You know, someone might just get frustrated enough with you that they have to change every single one of your files that they'll just not do it. They'll just give up. So just make sure you have your stuff in order. Okay, now I think this is the last thing I want to talk about. Autoresponders. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. An autoresponder is a really useful way to connect with people once they've downloaded your stuff and they've gotten on your list. Because what happens is people are downloading a bunch of different things. People are going through Noise Trade and, oh, I like this song, getting on people's lists and downloading them. And this happens to me sometimes. I don't hear from the person for like months on end, and then all of a sudden I get a newsletter from them and I'm like, how did I get on their list? I completely forgot that I downloaded their music. So what you really want to do is connect with them immediately. And how you can do that easily is with an autoresponder. So you can set up within your program, MailChimp or whatever you use, you can set up an autoresponder that will happen. It will be triggered by as soon as they download the thing and they get on your list, it sends them this email, and it's the same email for everybody. It just stores it in there. And you can change it whenever you want if you want to update it, but it just sits there, and when somebody does that, it triggers it, it sends it to them. And the things I suggest putting in there are obviously thank you for downloading my music, you know, reassuring them again that you're not going to sell their information, you're not going to spam them, telling them what to expect. Like I usually send a newsletter once a month, just to keep in touch and let you know what's going on with the music, letting you know when new music comes out or when I'm doing shows. And then you can also encourage them to connect with you on social media and give them really easy links. If you're able to in your email program, which you should be, to actually create hyperlinks, that's much better. Connect with me on Facebook and then hyperlink Facebook and put the link attached to it instead of sticking the whole link in there. That doesn't look very pretty. Make it super easy for them to do that, and it'll take them 2 clicks and they'll probably connect with you. So I highly recommend setting up an autoresponder. You could set up a longer sequence if you wanted to for some reason, if you wanted to introduce them to some things that you do, some other albums that you have or something. But just one autoresponder is going to be good enough at this point to make sure they don't forget you. And when they get your next newsletter, they're not like, who in the world is this? So if you need help setting that up, let me know. I can try to help you. I don't have MailChimp. I use GetResponse, but I can't imagine it would be much different on how to do it. So I'm sure I can help you with that.
I have one question.
Okay.
On your freemium, like how many songs do you recommend like giving away?
It completely depends. I think if you have something that's really new and hot and you want to give away a single, I think that's interesting to people. Yeah. I think if you want to give away, what I usually see is like a 5-song sampler.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what I see on Noisetrade, and it usually has 1 newer song, 2 from the last album, and 2 from a previous album, or something like that, where they get a good smattering of what you do. But I think if you want to give away a single, I think that's still attractive as long as it's something new, and you can, The other cool thing about Noisetrade is you can put your videos in there, and your video appears like right below. So if you have a new song and a new video for it, that could be really attractive.
All right, thanks.
Okay, any more questions?
I have to actually take off, Bree.
Okay, so here's your screen that has your homework. You can go look at this later. There'll be a replay in there just to remind you what we did and to, just keep you on track.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I have no idea how to exit this thing.
Oh, at the top in the middle, there's a red hang up button.
Okay, it went away. Maybe because I'm. Oh, there it is. I got it.
Yeah, if you move up there, it will come back.
Okay. All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.